Crisis Report, December 11th, 2024. Russia is supposedly getting ready to strike again with one of their ODYSEE. We have some reports about Belarus handling and having some of the big weapons, the nuclear style, and then, of course, the post-Syrian debacle, whatever you want to call that. Well, now they're saying all is not what it seems. It never is it? So, Israel is still, doing its thing, and the Middle East is kind of in a bit of a teetering point at this time. We're really, we're starting to really meet the the new government of Syria, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, the true colors are starting to come out, so we'll be detailing all of it. I've been doing a lot with on PrepperNow of the drone stuff in New Jersey. The big story is really starting to break. I just kind of randomly put out a video today because I found it interesting, and then all this other information came out. So I won't be covering a lot of that here, but if you are interested, on my Rumble, I took a bunch of videos that were supposedly out there that are supposedly of these drones. Now, the first things people say is, oh, it's got lights on and all that. I don't know the ins and outs of these things, or I just know what people are saying, and just because I post it doesn't mean I wholeheartedly believe it or anything. It is footage of what people are saying are these drones in New Jersey. So if you want to go check out the Rumble report, go and join my serial downvoter over there and do it. Check it out. It's interesting stuff. There are some things. There's a couple videos you're like, ooh, what's that? But on Twitter X, which I keep losing subscribers. I don't know what people think I do over there. I've got a Twitter X, but I don't sit there and shit post 5 times a day. Like, I put one up every 4 days, and it's like a meme or something. I don't know. I've never really been into the Twitter thing. I personally think you should subscribe to me there. As I grow and everything else, I do plan at some point to do videos on Twitter. I just personally don't have the time right now. I mean, I can't. I spend my time on Telegram because I get a lot of stuff. I just know how to use it for my needs. So I'm over there. But I do go over to Twitter more frequently than I used to, which was basically never. And, Twitter is it's like Telegram. To each their own. I've got more an affinity for Telegram than I do for Twitter. Twitter, it's useful. It's got a lot of great things about it, but I don't live over there, and there are people that live over there. So to each their own. But yeah, I had like 260 subscribers, and I am like 250 or something like that. I don't know what people expect. I'm not going to go over there and shit post and tell you what I had for breakfast every 12 minutes. But anyway, useful and good platform, and I do have it just in case I want to start to produce videos over there. But I mean, I've got Rumble, I've got this channel, I've got PrepperNow, I've got my super secret backup, and all of this is all linked over to ODYSEE. If you guys ever wanted to see, that's kind of my repository of my videos for the last, I think they've been doing it for 3 years now, so it's got all of them. So they don't show up here, but they're over there. If you ever want to go way back in time and see what I was doing 2-3 years ago with Prepper News and all that, which of course is now evolved into the Crisis Report. So yeah, the drone thing is very interesting. So go on over to Prepper Now and check that out. But here we're going to be talking about some war and conflict. And to be honest with you, I think there's a correlation between both. I wasn't touching the drone story because I thought it was more of a UFO type thing. But now I think there's a military element to it. And of course, that is what we do over here. So Strap in, hit that like button, do the subscribe thing, and let's get you through some of the intel for here on Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. This is your crisis report. Part of the manifesto of the United Healthcare CEO suspect has been released. Luigi Mangione says that I do apologize for any strife or trauma, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites had it coming. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. So who knows if this is real, this guy did it, or I don't know. There's a lot of crap going on with this story, so I haven't really focused on it. I think it's a shiny object. If you're not liking the way things are going out and doing what this dude supposedly did is like the worst way to do it. So anyway, I will tell you this. I think I posted on my Subscribe Strong Locals. He has a cryptocurrency named after him, and supposedly it is rising. So maybe this is a big, elaborate scheme to get his crypto to become traded and big. So who knows? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is reportedly advocating for his daughter-in-law, Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, to be appointed CIA deputy director. We'll see. Russian government has arrested a dual Russian-German citizen accused of planning a railway bombing in Russia, allegedly acting on orders from Ukrainian special services. South Korea's police chief became the latest high-ranking official to be arrested in an expanding investigation into President Yoon Suk-yeol's failed martial law following a raid on the presidential office. Former U.S. Representative Anthony Weiner has submitted his candidacy for a New York City council seat, marking a potential return to politics. Totally befitting. The FBI is unsure why dozens of drones are flying over New Jersey and cannot determine whether they pose a threat. Did a not deep dive, but did a dive into all this, took some footage, got the video of footage over on Rumble. There's a lot going on with this story. One guy thinks, and this is, I'll just let you know, there's many theories. They don't know if it's Iran, supposedly there's a mothership. Then that got walked back. The Pentagon said that's not happening, but there's all kinds of stuff. The theory is that these are actually of our doing, and they're searching for something. And they're afraid that if the cat gets out of the bag of whatever the heck it is they are searching for, it could really freak out an area with a population that is about as populated as it gets in America. So I'll let you use your intellect to put it together. But supposedly, one theory is that they're using these things to sniff for something. We don't know what it is. FBI is unsure why the drones are flying over. They're playing dumb. Nobody has any answers. So we all know that something's up. Something's crazy. Something's going on with this. So we'll be keeping an eye on it. Ukraine launched an attack on Russia using U.S.-supplied missiles. China said it takes necessary measures to defend the country's sovereignty and will not tolerate separatist activities, mentioning, of course, for Taiwan. Massive deployment today of 53 PLA aircraft, from which 23 crossed into the aids of Taiwan from various directions. 11 warships also deployed around the tiny country. Kurdish-led SDF forces have left the city of Deir ez-Zor after an SNA offensive, which resulted in the SDF's local Sunni Arab allies switching sides to SNA, as covered here on the crisis report last night. There's a lot of really disgusting and nasty potential for what is going on in Syria at this point for some of the smaller communities, whatever that may be. Don't kid yourself. This is ISIS and Al-Qaeda rebranded. and they've taken off the robes, and they got some nice clothes on, shaved down a little bit, and they're trying to make it look and feel like they're a nice, normal, diplomatic country, when I can assure you there's some butchering sons of bitches below all that BS. So the Christian community, the Druze community, the Alawite community, all of them should be very careful, because this thing could go sideways in a heartbeat. Syria, Manbij was there has been occupied by Turkish-backed militants. 4 days ago, the Turkish-backed SNA launched an operation to seize the city of Manbij and its surrounding areas. The latest reports indicate Turkish militants have taken control of Manbij and its surroundings. Turkish-backed militants have taken control of the Al-Taim oil field in Deir ez-Zor province. Oil production there is reported to reach 5,000 barrels per day. That could be a problem. Military coup in Syria was planned by the U.S. and Israel. Iran has evidence of this. Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei said, our security agencies had informed President Bashar about this, the HTS and SNA offensive, as a matter since September. NATO may deploy B-61 nuclear bombs in Poland or Ukraine, says National Interest. U.S. is reportedly considering this as a response to Russia's use of the Oreshnik missile they're promising to use again. Idea that the West would allow nuclear weapons to be deployed in Ukraine, a non-NATO member, or, worse yet, hand them over to Ukraine, is essentially insane. True. Unfortunately, given how the conflict has developed, this option cannot be ruled out, the publication writes. An alternative to Ukraine could be Poland as a full NATO member with the right to participate in the weapons sharing program. So, yeah. Great Britain successfully tested laser weapons for the first time in history, according to the Ministry of Defense of the country. Unlike conventional ammunition, laser weapons have almost unlimited supplies. That is correct. So, sharks with frickin' laser beams. Iranian General Razzia says right now terrorists are preparing to attack Iraq. There is an American camp in northern Syria where 11,000 ISIS members and their families have been trained over the past 4 years. It is likely that in the coming months they will attack Mosul or Tikrit in Iraq. Wow, we haven't heard those names in a while. Israeli Air Force, IAF, just carried out violent airstrikes on the Syrian capital of Damascus, another capital in the Med that is bombed into ashes by Israel. Ukrainian intelligence is actively trying to disrupt the transfer of oil reserves to Europe for the upcoming winter season. Ukrainian drone swarm has hit a Russian oil depot in Bryansk region, Russia. It's connected with a pipeline of the main Druzhba pipeline network that is used to send nearly all Russian and Kazakh oil to Europe. Recent attacks on the Druzhba oil pipelines in the Slovakia and Poland disclosed Ukers were behind the sabotage. Argentine President Javier Milei promised Tuesday that inflation will soon be little more than a bad memory and vowed to pursue a free trade deal with the United States next year. Excuse me. So he's really got the inflation down, but he's got a little bit of a problem right now. All of the healthcare workers are starting to walk out and go on strike because of a lot of things that he has done. So he's going to have a real challenge. We'll have to see what happens with all that. I'm sure you'll probably won't hear about it, but if I get stuff and it's important, we will. But yeah, he is showing what it is like to undo decades of some of the worst liberal policies on the planet and do more of a libertarian style and see what comes of it. And honestly, in the year that he's been in, he has changed things financially into a 180, but now he's got the healthcare workers to deal with, so we'll see. Taiwan says troublemaker China, Janer, expands military drills around the island. China's biggest maritime drills in years involve about 60 warships, 30 Coast Guard vessels deployed from near the southern islands of Japan to the South China Sea, a senior national security official told AFP on the condition of anonymity. U.S. consumer inflation has risen 2.7% in November. That is coming in hot. That is not good. You might want to go and keep an eye on some things like dairy and cocoa. Costco is having major issues, and they're kind of a canary in the coal mine. Costco is discontinuing a lot of its chocolate. It's discontinuing its cocoa. It's discontinuing its chocolate cake. It's discontinuing its chocolate chips. And the reason why is because in Africa, where they specifically get a lot of this stuff, it is weather problems, societal problems, everything. So it's becoming really expensive. And Costco has basically said, you know what, we can't do it. It's too expensive. It's not profit worthy. So whatever that may look like for you is whatever that may look like for you. I've found a really good deal on some chocolate chips, and my wife she likes to bake, so she's got enough cocoa for, as she put it tonight, about 5 years. It's good stuff too. So yeah, cocoa and chocolate is having problems, but so are eggs, and so is dairy. A lot of places are having problems with cream. A lot of problems are having with eggs. So if I were you, I'd have a plan, whatever that may be. We glass our eggs, but we've got chickens, of course. That means we can do that. If you can't, you can get one of those muffin pans that are like 12, 24, whatever it may be. You spray that, and you take the eggs and you whip them up, and you fill those muffin pans and you freeze it. And you take that, and then you take that, put it into a bag, and you store it in your freezer. And sure enough, you can't do sunny side up, but you can definitely do some really good scrambled eggs, and they last, 6 months to a year with ease if you're into prepping eggs, which honestly, eggs are probably one of the best anything that you could ever eat. Eggs are really good for you in many different ways, so consider it. Albertson says it's going to terminate Kroger's supermarket deal after the U.S. court ruling. Ukraine attacked Russian airfield with U.S.-supplied missiles, according to Moscow. Saudi Arabia confirmed as the 2034 World Cup host. Elon Musk has become the first person to reach $400 billion in net worth, the latest milestone for the world's richest individual, according to Bloomberg. Trump plans to scrap policy restricting ICE arrests at churches, schools, hospitals, according to NBC News. Meta services, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, down worldwide today around 2 p.m. Eastern. The horror. Yeah, I don't know if you made it, but I did. Donald Trump has been chosen as Time's Person of the Year, according to Politico. FBI Director Christopher Wray is going to resign before Trump takes office. Don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you, my friend. We'll see you. President-elect Trump has told Lockheed CEO Jim Teichlet he plans to cancel the $1 trillion F-35 contract because, quote, China is winning the fighter race while Lockheed sends executives to DEI camps, end quote. Absolutely correct. So the F-35, I mean, if you've even heard like a cursory tale of just how terrible those machines are and how expensive they are to do anything for them, they should have been scrapped a long time ago. But yeah, F-35 would be, I don't know, more warthogs, baby. Former South Korean Defense Minister Kim Jong-un, who is accused of playing a leading role in the failed implementation of martial law on December the 3rd, attempted suicide while in custody, but survived and evidently tried to use his underwear to give his neck a wedgie, but I guess it didn't work. Syrian revolutionary forces also took control of the Al Taim oil field in Deir ez-Zor desert oil field reportedly produces 5,000 barrels per day. Ukrainian drone strikes cause explosions at Transneft oil depot in Bryansk, Russia. Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei makes his grand entrance ahead of his speech, which will also deal with the situation in Syria. We'll have some of those words. Former Israeli President Reuven Rivlin says late Queen Elizabeth believed every Israeli was either a terrorist or a son of a terrorist and refused to allow Israeli officials into Buckingham Palace apart from international occasions. She never visited Israel during her 70-year reign as the British monarch, despite having traveled to 117 countries. Wow. Khamenei says what happened in Syria is the result of a joint American and Israeli plan. A neighboring country of Syria played a clear role in what happened and is still doing so. Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei says the group is in charge of Syria currently won't stay in power for long. The youth of Syria will rise up against them. Bold prediction, sir. Russia saved Bashar al-Assad because it didn't want him to end like Libyan leader Gaddafi, whose body was mutilated by a mob in 2011. Russia persuaded Assad that he would lose the fight against armed groups led by HTS and offered him and his family safe passage if he left immediately. Russian intelligence agents organized the escape, flying Assad out via the air base in Syria. Prime Minister Netanyahu says we are fighting a war on 7 fronts, and perhaps others will be added. We are hitting our enemies hard, imposing a heavy price on them. Russian Foreign Ministry, if someone hopes Moscow will make concessions over Ukraine, they have a short memory. Clash Report exclusive. According to Russian sources approached by Clash Report, Kremlin is in direct contact with Syrian forces that captured Damascus and has agreed in principle on returning to military bases in Syria. Russian officials emphasize they never fully withdrew from Syria, maintaining a core military presence at the bases. Syrian forces reportedly stated there was no need for Russia to have the country, or to leave the country, Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, says, you will witness a huge shift in our policy regarding Iran. We must restrict their oil and money and exert maximum pressure on them. Syrian Prime Minister says that Bashar al-Assad secretly fled to Moscow without notifying anyone, including his own government and Prime Minister. Russian soldier is shocked how many Syrian soldiers deserted and refused to fight. He said, look at this column and it does not end. It is obvious that Turkey, Israel, and the U.S. have most of it by bribing Syrian army and command. So supposedly they gave up fighting because they were bribed. It is not over in Syria yet. Part of the Syrian army will continue to fight. Former officers and soldiers of the SAA, 25th Special Mission Forces Division, Tiger Forces, have gathered themselves in mountainous areas near Lebanese border to keep fighting. They say they have fought against terrorists for years and will continue to do so despite the betrayal of the SAA High Command. They will start fighting as a resistance group to the incoming HTS SNA government. Commander in the video says they are ready to sacrifice themselves, and he even says they have self-dispatching bombers among them, and this pistol's last bullet will be for his own noggin. They had also replaced their chant, instead saying, our souls, blood, we sacrifice for Bashar. They now say, our souls, our blood, we sacrifice for Syria. During the night, Israeli Air Force continued to attack military targets in Syria, thus completing the elimination of assets that could be directed towards Israel. Syrian revolutionary forces seized one of the largest drug and captagon, or phenethylene, warehouses in Syria, which was run and traded by Bashir's brother, Maher Assad. Ethnic cleansing has begun, and jihadists have entered Alawite villages and expelled the residents. Western media won't report because these are, air quotes, freedom fighters. By the way, after the emptying of Bashir's prisons, jihadists began imprisoning those who oppose them in those places. Bashir al-Assad transferred $135 billion to Russia with him when he fled. That's why he didn't mind leaving Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and all kinds of other expensive things at home. Things that's why the Russians are so hospitable. So, yeah. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, to the United States Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. There is a chance at the moment for a new deal with the hope of releasing all of the abductees, including those with American citizenship. Russia is preparing a major escalation attack on Ukraine. Attack by Western long-range weapons will not go unanswered, and appropriate measures will be taken. Yimpiao Zhao, 39, was arrested for flying a drone over and taking pictures of Vandenberg Space Base before they tried to board a flight to China. Yep. U.S. Capitol Police held on one of its largest civil disturbance drills to date, bringing together 1,000 participants from 16 different agencies. Imminent North Korean missile test being monitored by STRATCOM, and U.S. STRATCOM is preparing for a Russian ICBM, IRBM, launch towards Ukraine in the coming days. Russian leaders expect Trump to use ultimatums to both Kiev and Moscow if Zelensky refuses peace terms. U.S. will stop all military aid if Putin stalls. The U.S. will start bombing the Russian economy. So, if you don't like it, America's going to bomb you. Israel has arrested 30 individuals on charges of spying for Iran. Shin Bet says it is among the most severe cases of espionage in the history of Israel. And, well, this is the largest anti-espionage operation in the history of the state of Israel. Iranian infiltration in our nation is extremely serious and deeper than anything we have seen before. More severe even than the infiltration of the Egyptians in the 1960s and 70s. Russia, massive strike by the Ukrainian army in the capital of Chechnya, Grozny. CCTV footage documenting the moment of an apparent Ukrainian strike on the Kadyrev's 2nd Special Purpose Police Regiment in Grozny tonight. That is the the Chechens. You don't want them to get involved, Mr. Zelensky. Just in, Tesla stock has hit a record high as Trump fueled the rally, and it's rolling on. Trump has invited China's Xi Jinping to his inauguration. Cool. CNN about inflation. It says it heated back up again in November, but it likely wasn't bad enough to keep the Federal Reserve from cutting the rates next week. Consumer prices were up 2.7% for the 12 months ending in November 2020. 4, 2, 3. moving higher from the 2.6 annual increase seen in October and marking the highest annual rate since July, according to the latest Consumer Price Index, data released Wednesday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Government whistleblower claims a government-funded organization is testing a quantum computer called Mia, capable of breaking modern encryption. This would render personal data, browsing history, passwords, and anything online obsolete. The advantage lies with us because our last combat was captured on somebody's iPhone. That is General Smith. And kind of poking fun of the Chinese. He said the Chinese last combat was captured on oil and canvas. And they should not forget that. I would not undersell the value that our combat experience brings to this fight. That is the truth. Oh, there's more. There are more than a dozen nuclear warheads in Belarus, according to Lukashenko. I thought nuclear warheads, I brought nuclear warheads here. Not just a dozen, maybe even, many write, this is a joke, no one brought anything in. They were brought in, and the fact that the opponents say it is a joke means they missed it. They didn't even notice how we brought them here. Okay. Lukashenko stated that the Oreshnik could be deployed to sites where strategic nuclear missiles were located. According to him, Minsk will determine the targets, but the button will be pressed together with Moscow. Missile systems Oreshnik, which was requested from Russian President Vladimir Putin, can be placed at the sites of strategic nuclear missiles that even been preserved since the Soviet era. According to Lukashenko, partly due to the decision to maintain these sites, his opponents have started calling him a dictator. Not because I'm a dictator, but now because I did what they don't like, but you see it has come in handy. And that was said by the president of Belarus. And we have about 30 such sites. We will choose them because there must be minimal distance to the target objects. We will deploy and aim. You probably noticed that my conditions to Putin was one, we will determine the targets in Belarus, not in Russians, but you will help us operate it. That is, we will press the button together. Good luck. Yeah. God forbid, if it is needed, but we will determine the targets. He agreed. So, and what's going on in the SMO? In the southern part of the Donetsk Oblast, the Russians successfully stormed the village of Veselye High. Creates a critical situation for the Ukrainians as the Ukrainian troops are on the verge of encirclement. A similar situation arose for Hanivka due to the Russian advances from the south and in the south of Uspanivka. In Kharkov, the Russians are said to have taken most of the high-rise buildings in the past few days. In the direction of Pokrovsk, the Russians managed to take the Shevchenko, but Novotroitsky is also said to be under Russian control. With the capture of Shevchenko, the Russians have completed the initial preparations for the Geolocations also show the movement of the Russians along the railroad line in Toretsk. The Russians have probably taken the entire area around the mines, gives the Russians a massive advantage due to the higher ground. Cold War II, Russians in a fury, another ATC, ACMS, TCAMS, attack. Shevchenko has fallen. The name of that podcast. French President Emmanuel Macron and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk will discuss the deployment of peacekeeping forces in Ukraine after the end of the conflict on Thursday. All right, and that, my friends, is your crisis report for December 11th, 2024. If you're new here, hit that like button. Become one of the members if you'd like. Subscribe if you'd like. And then, of course, there are other links in the description that tell you about X and Minds and Twitter and Gab and all that stuff. And then, of course, you've got Subscribe, and Locals. For a few dollars a month, you can get some crazy information. And, yes, we appreciate you all. Keep looking in the skies for some of those drones. I got a feeling you got another thing coming. Something's coming. So, yeah, go check out the videos by PrepperNow. I'll probably do another one we'll do afternoon. All right, friends. God bless. Stack, stock, stick to the plan. Keep on swimming your powder dry. And I appreciate you coming by. Crisis Report by PrepperNow. See you on the next one.